I've tried to do things on my own, but every step I take.
Good afternoon and welcome to Connections, and I'm your host, Pastor Kevin McGee of the Victory Temple Church of God in Christ. You're listening to us on IntellectualRadio.com. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio. Connections is a show designed to keep you connected to the Christian community, so as we get connected. And if you wish to become a Connection sponsor, or maybe you just want to make a donation, you can reach out to me at bishop1915@gmail.com, or you can inbox me on Facebook. Nature Sunshine. Have you met your weight loss goals for 2018? Would you like a natural approach to weight loss? Do you want to see and feel changes immediately? Do you take medication for high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, fibromyalgia, cancer, arthritis, or any other condition of the body? Do you have poor circulation, frequent colds, flu, or chronic fatigue, or perhaps you just want to maintain a healthy body? Give Nature Sunshine a try. They have many products and plans that will assist you in losing weight or maintaining and improving your health the natural way. You can call them at 708-302-5655, or you can see DOCGEE@yahoo.com. Would you share information that can save the life of someone you care about? Of course you would. Many of our women and girls suffer monthly from the side effects of products currently on the market shelves. Introducing cherished products that are a healthy, natural alternative to the unregulated items currently in circulation. They also have supplements for men to aid in prostate health pharmaceuticals. You can visit their website at nowweknow.net. That's NOWWENO.net to find more information about the product line. And if you would like to have a live demonstration at your event, place an order, or any questions, contact Angela Garrett at 708-508-0592, or you can email her at angiegarrett65@outlook.com, or you can find her on Facebook under Angela Elaine, and Angela is spelled with 2 L's. The Bedrock Movement affirms safety, comfort, dignity, awareness, and empowerment for Chicagoland street homeless. For any internship needs for school, community service that are mandated from the court, or you just want to volunteer assisting the street homeless, please call John Netherly at 773-567-5110. And today I'm so grateful to have a powerful young man. He is the board president of the Chamber of Commerce for Bellwood, as well as a plethora of other positions that he holds, and we'll get into that. A very busy man, and I'm so glad that he's was able to take time out to be with us. And he goes by the name of Christopher J. Parker. So glad to have you here, sir.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the invite, and I love what you do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Listen, those of you that's listening to us on Facebook Live, if you want to call in, ask questions for Mr. Parker, or if you want to just shout out to him, many of you may even know him, you can give us a call at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Or you can just simply put your comment or your question in the comment field on the Facebook Live, and we will address that. God bless Tony Titwell, who's watching. Jasmine Herbert, Stefan Alonzo Williams, good to see you all. All right. Again, thank you for being with us. And I just gave one title, one position that you hold. Give us a little bit about who you are, your background, your church home, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. So again, I'm so excited to be here, and it's a little humbling to be able to kind of share a little bit about who I am and tell simply of what I would consider God's goodness for my life. Born and raised at Redeemed Church of God in Christ. Pastor, Superintendent, Administrative Assistant Fears is the pastor there, and born and raised in the church. In my opinion, always typically, if you stick with it, will allow you to have different experiences that will allow you to be in a different position, to be able to have those experiences and to learn and grow from it. And so I like to tell people there's no secret sauce. I'm just a culture kid, born and raised in Joliet, Illinois. My mom had 6 of us. I'm out of the 6, the youngest. My twin brother is 12 minutes younger than I am, and so it's two of us. What happened was went to the school system in Joliet, went on to Joliet Junior College, and went on an internship at Disney World. Lived in Florida for almost a year. Took an organizational leadership class, as well as a communication class from them. Passed, got a certificate from one of the top recreational companies in the world. Came back, and then the banking industry was calling my name, and I stepped in at 19 with a teller position. And fast forward 15 years later, I have a wonderful opportunity to serve at Wintrust, which Wintrust is kind of the parent company, and then Proviso Community Bank is the local branch that allows us to be able to serve as vice president and CRA commercial lender. So it's a whole lot when you talk about working for a commercial bank. What a commercial bank will do for you is a community commercial bank will allow you opportunity to be able to serve. And so I think that when I look at what my life has been about and what it is about, and why, as we would talk about a little bit, some of the roles that I would have today in serving in the community, is what I live by. Shirley Chisholm, she said this, and one of my mentors quotes it all the time. But its service is the rent you pay for the room on the earth. And so when you look at being on this earth, I just think that we all have to pay rent, and that rent is service. And so if I was a switch to what I was brought up in the church, I would lean on Matthews 23:11. That says, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And so I just frankly believe that when it comes down to a service, it's critically important. That's why I make time to make sure that I see about the business community, and I serve as president of the chamber for the Bellwood Chamber of Commerce, newly board president for the Answer Inc., which is the autism support and awareness agency. Our wonderful executive director is Deborah Vines. And I can go on and on with these roles that I serve and work, but a lot of it stems from passion for people and being in a position to serve.
Awesome. And I like that you laid out with your background of faith, because certainly you got to have faith in order to advance to where you are. And then I like the fact that you're an African American young man. Usually we hear of that, the story of climbing up that ladder is with the other persuasions.
Yep.
And if it is African American, then they've gone through more hurdles than anyone else has had to go through. But God has blessed you, opened up doors for you. And what you have to do when the door's open, you go through the door.
That's right.
I tell people, if a door is opened and they open it up for you, walk through the door. If you never walk through the door, never complain about never getting an opportunity. When doors are open for you. And I go back, and I'm digressing a little bit, but I look at civil rights. Civil rights opened doors for our people.
That's right.
But what's happening is our people, the door's still open, but we won't walk through. You know why? Because many of our people have become comfortable where they are. And so they don't want to go through the door, because going through the door requires more work, more effort. But if you want to move ahead, you've got to go through the door.
That's right.
Can I put my pastor hat on now?
That's right. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
When Joshua and the children of Israel got to Jericho, what did God say? He said, go in and possess the land. Yep. If you never possess the land, you'll never move forward.
That's right.
So I like that. Right. And then you mentioned the Answer Incorporated. We had Deborah Vines a few months back. We're still praying for her and the loss of her husband. But wonderful organization, wonderful support system for those who have autism and the families of those who have loved ones with autism. And so we applaud your work with them. I know I've watched and I've followed Deborah Vines on her Facebook page, and in talking with her, I know the work that she does. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful organization that you have partnered yourself with.
Oh yeah.
And shout out to those that are watching: Cedric Ford, Calvin Blissett, Joyce Williams. Good to see everybody. Again, if you have any questions for Mr. Parker, 708-223-8953. All right. So you mentioned, and I'm going to kind of go in a different vein. Today, we're talking about community and economic development.
Yep.
And the reason why I look at that is because we have, all of us live in a community, whether it's on the west side, south side, east side, north side, suburbs. We're all a part of a community. And we have businesses in our communities. And if the key to businesses thriving and surviving is that they are patronized, or they have patrons from those within the community first.
Mm-hmm.
Because now Chicago kind of take care of itself, unless it's the neighborhood mom and pop store, but you're going to always have a big box store. You're going to have those major grocery chains. They're going to take care of themselves. But when it comes to the suburbs and you having some stores, and for instance, Save a Lot,
Mm-hmm.
that was right there on 25th Avenue, has been recently bought out by another organization.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at stores like Save a Lot, they really depend on the community to help them stay afloat.
Absolutely.
A few years ago, Maywood had one on 5th Avenue that was in the old Right Way building, and it didn't last long.
Nope.
In talking about community, and we'll get to that. Let's switch gears. You are the board president of the Bellwood Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I've been hearing about the Chamber of Commerce ever since I've been out here. What is the purpose of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, good question. So, the best way that I'll describe it. So I'll give you what we have on our website, and then I'll go on and kind of break it down more simple than that, because a lot of these concepts are simple, but it's just being in a position to be able to explain it a little bit clearer for people. But our mission for the Bellwood specific chamber is to organize a healthy business ecosystem and advocate for its prosperity and sustainability. And so when you look at this ecosystem of residents then need to work. So they need jobs. So then it has to be business, and someone has to support those business. Then they have families. The family has to go to school. And then you're talking about the taxation side of it, where people pay taxes. The taxes go in to make sure that this whole thing works. And so in order to keep that ecosystem going, every intricate detail is critically important. So you have to have businesses. You have to have businesses to support folks working for the businesses, so that those folks will be able to have a living. And then from that, those folks have money that they go and support, as you would allude to earlier, local business. And so all of those things, I think, is very critical. And then, of course, the school systems are very important to work with and make sure that when families move into a particular area, in this particular conversation, we're talking about this western suburb region, it's critical that everybody or every leader is working together to make sure this ecosystem is working the way it's supposed to work. And so when you have a breakdown, is why the chamber is so important. So when you have shuttered businesses and dilapidated buildings, all of these things just kind of go hand to why we need somebody to organize this system to make it work. And so what the chamber tries to do, we coexist to really make sure that that system is coming together, that we have our hands a little bit into the education system, that we have our hands into working with the village government to make sure that there's focus on making sure that there's growth and development. We work with other businesses to help make sure that we can support small businesses. But we essentially are the folks that really kind of organize that ecosystem and to keep everybody honest and try to keep everybody together, focus on essentially this ecosystem that allows everybody to thrive. And I think that if I was to break all this stuff down in more simpler terms, the chamber is the liaison between government and business.
Okay.
When we're able to bridge that gap, then it positions us to really be able to make sure that the initiatives that the village is trying to cover, that the business community need to thrive, that we're working to bring all of this stuff together and to make this stuff work and make the community work. I want to add a couple things for an examples, because some people don't know. When we talk about the purpose of the chamber, they need to really be able to know live examples of why this is important. So you talk about some of the recent legislators that impact business. The soda pop or the sweetened beverage tax legislation impacts business owners. There was a sick leave, a Cook County minimum wage ordinance. So sick leave was separate than the Cook County minimum wage ordinance. But all of those things, when you look at the full bill and the full legislation of it, all of those impact business owners. And so when you look at the business owner, especially the small business owner that will not have time to go out of their business to really fight and to stand up for themselves, somebody has got to stand up for them. Somebody has got to go and to represent them to legislators and say, this is how this is impacting the business community. And keep in mind, the issue is when the ecosystem breaks down on any one of these parts, everybody feels it.
And I never thought of it. I never really thought of it like that. That you are basically you're a support system for those businesses,
absolutely,
large or small, so that they won't disappear into obscurity.
Yep.
And I believe it's universal when it comes to business, no matter whether we're in the western suburbs of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
When I ride through the west side of Chicago and I see all the dilapidated buildings, the shuttered businesses, and you wonder what can be done. It's almost as if everything has just gotten out of hand, And so I look at that and I say, how can we? And it's going to segue into my next question. But well, before I ask the next question, answer this for me.
Sure.
What causes when let's say a big chain, let's say Food for Less, when Food for Less has been in an area for so long, and then you have that mom and pop like Save a Lot come through, how can we change the mindset of the people who are used to shopping at a Food for Less, at a Jewel's, at a Mariano's? Because you remember when Mariano's opened up, everybody flocked to Mariano's. How can we change the mindset to keep our businesses afloat? And then that segues into the other part of the question. We as community residents, how can we do our part and not only to help, but encourage economic growth in the communities?
Yeah, all good questions. I'm going to tie all this up together and hopefully not bore the viewers here. Economic growth. So when you define to your question, what is economic growth? Economic growth is the capacity to increase goods and services. The capacity to increase goods and services. So to your question, you got your mom and pop. The mom and pop has got to find a way to increase goods and services. Now, when you understand a smartphone is considered more valuable than a pair of socks, right? If you think about it, which one's more valuable in our opinion? However, growth has got to be measured by the value of goods and services. So not only is, do we have to look at the value, but we also have to make sure that we understand the quantity. So both of those things kind of play hand in hand, but growth has to be measured in the value of goods and services, not only the quantity. What that means is we need more valuable goods and services in our region. So when we talk about the mom and pops, when we talk about the smaller groceries that Save a Lot, that's right there on 25th, we have to make sure that we're in a position to understand what goods and services that they offer. Now, let's take that analogy of that smartphone. So the smartphone may not be valuable to everybody. So you have a whole class of folks that the smartphone, that people are okay with having either no phone or a phone that is outdated. and they're okay with it because they don't use the smartphone for what it's used. But I think when you have a better understanding on the region and determining the needs of that region, I think that's one of the things that's going to be critical. Now, so what I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is there's got to be some responsibility put on the business to be able to make sure that they're offering goods and services that are critically important to that community. And that means you'd have to do some research and may need to do some market analysis to make sure. And that's what the chamber kind of, in a sense, is designed for, to help businesses to be able to thrive. But you sometimes you're going to have to do some research. As a matter of fact, all the time you're going to have to do some research to make sure to make sure that you're responsible for your own business idea, venture, entity. And then on the flip side of that, I think that it's one of the things that we have to make sure that we understand is that we have a issue with, for some odd reason, with supporting local. We tend to focus a little bit more on cost savings, which is critically important. But I think when we look at the whole scheme of things, folks like myself, yourself, community leaders abroad, we have to do a uniquely different job in taking on some different strategy and perspective to educate people to really shop local. And that's really to me, that's one of the biggest things I would like to walk away. I would like the viewers to walk away with, is understanding the power of really shopping local. There is power to making sure this ecosystem works, because believe it or not, most people may not know the direct impact or the amounts, but the business community does pay significant taxes. And so when you have the business community paying their fair share of taxes, then what happens is it's supposed to alleviate some of the homeowners paying as much taxes on their side in terms of the taxes for the home. And so when you look at this whole ecosystem that has to work, if you support local and you have more businesses locally, then what happens is that puts more money back into the pocket of the consumer or the resident to be able to spend more, hopefully, locally. So if we can ever get people to understand that when you go to a larger grocery outside of your particular region, your market, or your area that you live in, what happens is you're giving money, and that money end up in profits all go towards paying, whatever the company is doing, but also paying taxes for that store to be in that area. And so if we can ever understand that even a small business pays taxes. And so when you look at it, if folks really wanted to work on eliminating, or I shouldn't say the word elimination because that's a poor characterization, but if you're looking at finding a way to potentially lower your taxes on your home, then find a way to look at a healthier business community, because they are going to pay taxes and they're going to pay at a higher rate, and ultimately it'll hit your pockets.
Wow. And I'm looking at it. Sometimes it's hard for the smaller business to compete because the larger business offers more in services, and as you said, research. And so it makes me wonder, when we find these smaller businesses in our areas popping up, have they truly researched, or do they just decide, I'm going to open up a business, But now my thing is, and I'm sure we can all identify with this, is that we can have certain ethnicities come in, open up let's say a beauty supply store or something like that. And we can open up one and they'll go to the people of the other persuasion. What are your thoughts on that? Why is that?
Yeah, I think that let's just be honest. I think we're more critical of each other. We're much more critical. It's a mentality that's probably embedded down through the years. We're much more critical of each other. I think there's a place inside of us that we want to see our people of our culture do well. And when we see them maybe subpar, in other words, what I'm saying is you have two counterparts here, and both of them will experience some type of hiccups. Both of them will experience certain levels of a certain level of quality of hiccups because they're going through the process. Everybody goes through a process where there's some unfortunate things that may happen. But when it comes down to us, we're more likely to take on and absorb and be more forgiving to folks that that may not look like us than we are folks that look exactly like us. And I think deep down inside, I really do think that's because we want to see our people in the best light. And so what I'm saying is we set a higher expectation for ourselves than the other counterparts. And so when you set a higher expectation and you're let down more disappointment, more frustration, and that causes us to go with the lesser expectation and spend time more there because there's no expectation. When you go into Jewel, you go there, you go shopping, it's easy, you go out and you move on. You go to another grocery that may be owned by us. If something were to go on or they don't have something that you need, then there's a certain level of frustration and disappointment. So I think we have to exercise a certain level of forgiveness, a certain level of having more compassion, to see more, in this case, more African American businesses in the local marketplace. And these are all things that there's infrastructure in place. I have to shout out Joseph Business School, who not too long ago had a number, I think 20 or so graduates of folks that have gone through their business program to start business, and majority of them are African American. And so when you look at there are mechanisms in place to help sharpen the skills of African American entrepreneurship. But when it comes down to it, the consumer, we have got to encourage the consumer and the local body that will support African American business to really to change this mindset, to think a little bit more different, to have a little more compassion, and treat the African American business as you do. In a sense, other places that you go and spend money, to meet a need. But at some point, we have to get people to think further. Not only are you meeting a need, but there is some selfish components that when you shop local, that money is going to go back to your pocket. And I think if we can get people to see that and understand that, people will look at their experiences different. And then when they have these hiccups, they'll yet understand that even though there was a hiccup, it's okay because the money is going back into my pocket.
Exactly. And I think we are sometimes our biggest, critics, our biggest enemies.
Absolutely.
Because we won't take the time out and investigate the new business ourselves. We'll listen to what Salome said about the business. She said, child, I wouldn't go there because, they ain't got nothing in there.
Yep.
They ain't got, I went in there, they ain't had nothing in there. The price is just too high. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go there. And so what happens, that tells that person, Sally said, don't go there, so I'm not going there. Mm-hmm. Instead of you going in and check it out for yourself, because her idea of low prices might be different than yours.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And then because they didn't have what she was looking for, doesn't mean that they don't have what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I at least go in,
right.
And I patronize, for example, Save a Lot quite a bit when I was there, even if it was just something real quick. Mm-hmm. I went in there instead of driving all the way to North Avenue, driving all the way, to 31st and Wolf to Mariana. I went there and paid the money, and the prices were very comparable, if not cheaper.
Yep.
And it was good quality. It might not have been the name brand, but it was good for me.
Quality. Oh yeah,
it was good for me.
You bring up another good point that I often forget to continue to further answer your question and to the comment you just made. The power of education. I was really thinking about how residents, how you had asked, how do residents help? How do folks get involved in this process? Well, one of the things that I am convinced about is we have to find a way to get more folks out to village meetings, local town halls, because these meetings are happening. It's just that there's a number of folks that sit at home while these things are happening. Let me tell you why it's important. Because when decisions are being made, whether a business will be in a community, those decisions are being made at the village level. And so you have an opportunity to really be able to step in and to be able to give your opinion as to what you want your community to look like. And so you have an opportunity to really go in and make sure that you want the type of business and the type of area of business that you want to impact your community to be here. And so I think it's just critically important that that the spirit of education needs to be continue to be to be effectively communicated to our folks, to be able to make sure that if you do want more African American businesses, show up and make sure that you have a voice, and then making sure you know what type of village that you want to have. And then, of course, you have an opportunity to kind of start your own business, which a lot of people are doing, and we talked a little bit about that. And then one of the things I'll end with this particular question is in terms of reinvestment. And we talked about, if you look at being able to be an investor, or to be able to be a shareholder into some of this things that's happening, it's so critical that we position ourselves to keep in our region, the region that we live, the region that we raise our children in, the region that has our school system. All of this stuff is critically important. And we just have to make sure that we understand that there's different types of ways that we invest. And one of the ways we invest is by purchasing and supporting and shopping locally.
Awesome. And again, kudos to you and the Chamber of Commerce, because we need someone to remind us that we have something worth investing in our own communities. We need that reminding. We need to know that we have something valuable here. And when we can remember that, then I believe we can better educate our people and better build up our communities in the long run.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Lydia Allen, Nicole Willis, Jeffrey Avery. Pastor Jeffrey Avery is watching. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and shift gears to another area of talk. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this brief break.
Holy is the name of the Lamb of God. Holy is the name of the Lamb of God. The weight of your glory, it won't allow me to stand. At your feet I bow down, because you're God, not just a man. At the mention of your name, I feel joy unspeakable. And just knowing that your love found me when I wasn't even searchable. Holy is the Lamb of God. Holy is the name of the Lamb of God. The warmth of your presence, it covers me from head to toe. At the mention of your name, I feel joy.
Welcome back to Connections, and you were listening to the music stylings of Pastor Romandus Moore. And if you don't have a CD, please inbox me. I can make sure you can get it. All right, so we're sitting here talking with Christopher J. Parker, and he is the board president of the Bellwood Chamber of Commerce, vice president with Proviso Community Bank. And so he has done a very good job of educating us on the role of the Chamber of Commerce, how we can help to, as residents, help to build up our communities economically by supporting the businesses in our communities. And one thing that I thought about is that when we can build up our communities, we can get more young people off the streets and, just hanging out on the streets and into more positive areas where their energies can be used for something more beneficial to the community as opposed to detrimental to the community. But what I want to shift gears is, because I want to put your banking hat on now, because you cannot have community and economic development without having some sense of proper finance management. And so The reason why I got this question in my mind is because when we go off to college,
Mhm.
that college student is inundated with all kinds of credit card applications. I know I was when I went the minute I stepped into the campus of UIC
Mhm.
and went into the student center. I got hit with every credit card application. You know what I did? I started filling them out. And you know what happened? I got approved for every last one. So here I am, a young 18-year-old college student with about 10 to 15 credit cards, and thought I had a good sense of money management, until I had 15 credit cards at one time. So I started, you know what I did? I went through, I had the power to buy, and I bought, and I bought, and I bought. And you know what? All of a sudden, those bills came running in. Then I saw the bills, and I said, okay, well, wait a minute, why are they charging me this? Because it only costs $5. It only costs $10. But I didn't look at the fact that there's interest that you have to pay. I didn't look into the fact that if there's a late fee, if it's late, there's a late fee penalty that I would have to pay. And so what happened was that $10, meal or whatever I bought for $10 turned into a $25 payment. And now I'm looking at all the bills I had stacked up. I said, wait a minute, they didn't tell me this when I was filling it out. And then somebody asked me, did you read the back of the application with all the little print and the APR and all of that? No, I didn't, And so so that let me know, because you start out as a young person in debt, and that translates, unless you get some correction, you become an adult or an older person in debt with that same debt from 20 years prior, because you never took care of that debt. So many people today get into financial trouble because they have not made wise decisions concerning their finances.
Absolutely.
Is there a program with your bank that would help to educate people, especially African American? Because, I hate to say it, we don't really educate ourselves like the way the others do. Is there a program that would help to educate our people in the areas of financial literacy?
Yeah, very good question. I think you have a lot of sentiments as to what I have and what I live every day. So I got to this particular community probably about 5 years ago. I accepted a bank manager position out in Bellwood, and signed up and took the role. Did not know the region very well, and it did not take me long to get involved and get immersed in it. And then what I found out is exactly what you're talking about. Is there are generations on top of generations of what I would call either you have one out of two issues. You have one that is folks that are just flat out negligent when it comes down to their finances, and that means they know better, but they choose to keep doing negligent acts. But then there's a lot of folks that which I would believe is the majority that just don't know any better. And so that's okay. That's all right, because what that means is that you have to have folks in the community that care about the community, that will put things in place to be able to meet the need and educate people and get them a chance to be able to see the light, so that they'll be able to make better decisions. And so, to answer your question more specifically, one of the best things that I like about Proviso Community Bank right here in Proviso Township in Stone Park is one of our locations, and we're actively looking to put another location up. We want to be here in Proviso Community in Proviso Township, and within 1 year we want to be the top bank in Proviso Township. And so here's what we're doing. Two programs I want to talk about that I love. Number one is we have Money Smart classes and sessions that we have. That our Money Smart sessions are through the FDIC, and so what that means is that we have tons of sessions, and I'll give you a couple of titles. We have sessions on budgeting. We have sessions on rent to own, sessions on credit. sessions on credit cards, how to pay yourself first. That's dealing with savings and how to do it right. We even have sessions on how to work with seniors so that seniors won't be a victim of identity theft. And those things are very critical. And what we typically do is we partner with some of the nonprofits or some of the organizations to be able to put this on in the community. I'll be the first one to tell you in April, the Proviso Community Bank partnered with the Bellwood Chamber of Commerce and the Merrill's Park Chamber of Commerce. We rented out a space, and Proviso Community Bank sponsored the whole thing. And we actually went and had an access to capital event for our businesses, which is another session that we host as it relates to educating our small businesses or our medium-sized businesses on how to be able to thrive and survive, and how to start a business, how to maintain, and mainly how to get access to capital. And so we had an access to capital event where we actually brought in probably around 10 to 13 partners, mainly that deal with micro lending. And so what I want to make sure that the viewers know is there are resources out there. There are lenders out there. Now, Wintrust, Proviso Community Bank, we are a preferred lender for SBA. And so what that means is that some of the small businesses that may need some lending opportunities or lending options, being a preferred lender means when you come to us, we have folks on site that will be able to qualify for some programs that essentially would make it easier for small businesses to get a business loan and not to have as much down as it would be required as in a traditional environment or a traditional loan. But there's also people that you have to partner with, because there are times where when we look at every bank have their own credit policy. There are times where some people may fall upon under a threshold of their credit policy. And so what we do is we partner with folks, and I can name a few that we partner with to really help folks that may not qualify for a traditional loan, but may qualify for programs that really will help them out tremendously. But we had that event in April at Triton College, and great turnout, great support. We just needed more folks there to be able to get the information, and we're working hard to be able to continue to have things like that to give people an opportunity to be educated. So coming up here at Proviso Community Bank, 1759 Manheim Road in Stone Park, we actually have a credit seminar that we're going to be doing. That credit seminar, which is called the Free Money Smart classes, is going to go on June 8th, June 15th, June 22nd, June 29th, all at 5 p.m. And essentially what we do is we are going to position you to walk away knowing how to be able to define credit, to explain how it works, understanding the purpose, knowing the difference between good credit, bad credit, knowing how to build it, knowing how to tear it down. You got to know all of it. And we offer these particular sessions because people need the information. People need the opportunity to be able to be enlightened on decisions that will cost them greatly, as you would allude to, great dividends. Some of the decisions that people make financially cost them 30 years, and sometimes people in a lifetime never get over their decisions that they've made 30 years prior. And so if I can help to be in position to be able to educate people and help them to be able to make some decisions, that's what we're here for. And I think one of the biggest things that we do is we have these Money Smart classes. We educate people throughout those classes. But the last thing that we do is we have a program called Bank On It. You go into a traditional one of our Wintrust branches. In this case, we have one right on Manheim called Proviso Community Bank. You walk in. Let's say you got maybe something derogatory on your check system report. You go in, and our system says that you have some disparaging reporting issues on there. Well, what we do is a one-on-one. We walk you through a Bank On It session that helps educate you on this process of how to better manage your and better budget your finances, and then we give you a second chance account. Where is that happening at? Where is that happening where you can get a one-on-one session and then get an opportunity right then and there to have a second chance account? So in a nutshell, Proviso Community Bank or Wintrust Community Bank, we are often having sessions. We are open. We will have vice president, senior vice president. We'll be at your churches. We'll be at your libraries. If you are in need of having folks to come in and talk to your seniors, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We will be there. And we mean it. The facts are here. The proof is in the pudding. And Proviso Community Bank is here to serve. And we already are doing it now.
That's awesome. Awesome information. And shout out to Pastor Romandas Moore, who pastors in the Proviso Township area. Shout out to Carol and also to Carolyn Anderson. And that is very interesting because I feel, and you mentioned that you partner with non-for-profits. I believe that we can get the churches to come together with members of the congregation or even people that are connected to them. If we can get them to come together and provide a community bank and come in and educate us as a church body, as a number of churches, and both within Proviso Township and so maybe without, because the bottom line is that we all need to be educated. And I know people who will travel across town to their bank. So if Proviso Community Bank is offering a service that maybe some of the other banks aren't offering, they may be willing to come and say, hey, listen, I need to know, I'm trying to buy a house within the next 2 or 3 years. I need to know how to position myself to have that buying power.
Absolutely.
I'm a realtor, and so I know what it's like. No realtor wants to take you out if you can't get a good pre-approval.
Absolutely.
Don't look at $100,000 house and you only pre-approved for $50,000. It's not gonna work. So you want to have that buying power.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk because I believe this is a valuable tool that the churches can allow their members to hear, to help build them up. Because churches, we have to do things holistically. Total man, not just the spiritual, but we have to be able to address the natural side as well. And especially in this type of venue, we need to bring out as many young people as possible.
Absolutely.
Because young people are getting summer jobs, and the first thing they want to do is go buy some gym shoes or go buy some food and not put anything away.
That's right.
I was one of those who wouldn't put nothing away. My biggest thing, I was comic books. So every time I got a little money, I went and bought some comic books.
Get out of here.
And I didn't learn about really putting money away until I got to college. But young people need to know about putting money away, and I thank God for my children because we've taught them to save for what they want.
I think one thing that I want to throw in there is, you mentioned something that's critical, and I hope that parents get an opportunity to view this information, because the truth of the matter is the financial community can only do so much. The church community can only do so much. But I encourage the parents to make sure that you are living the life of having some type of financial experience and better maintaining a certain level of financial literacy yourself, because what happens is children are watching, your teens are watching you, they're watching the decision that you're making with your money, and a lot of them will mirror that. And so when we talk about the whole generational issue, that's why I'm excited to get into the churches, because I realize that we have a unique position. I'm born and raised in the church, so I understand and I get it. But I want to have a greater impact in making sure that along with the spiritual, we understand that people perish for the lack of knowledge. We want to be able to infuse the spiritual that's already going on. We have very fine pastors out here in the western suburbs, but we want to have that knowledge aspect thrown in there to really give our young folks a real shot at making it and being better and living life better and doing life better, better than the folks that was their parents and grandparents and things of that nature.
Amen. We're gonna call you the Minister of Finance.
I gotta talk to the pastor about that first.
Talk to the superintendent. Make you a Minister of Finance. How, if you were declared a living legacy, what would you like that legacy to be?
Service, and that's it. It doesn't have to do anything else but a life of service, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I realize that people live this life is very short. Folks have an opportunity to to live a life, I want to live a life worth living. And that's critically important for me. And what that means is when you live a life that's worth living, then typically what you want to do is make sure that your going in and out is a life that mirrors Christ. And so when we look at the life of Christ and look at the opportunities that he had in really changing the world, it's my personal belief that as Christ is inside of us and we're living this life to, in my opinion, to live again. I want to make sure that the legacy left behind is a life of service to people that needed help the most. That I can help the least of these things, because I was not always in a position where I knew and understood financial education and empowerment. And I knew that the scripture talked about money answering all things, and it also said that it's the root of all evil. And I heard these things, but I think that we need an opportunity to really, every church has to have an opportunity to really, as you would allude to, minister into the lives of its folks in the area of finance. So many people deal with issues in the area of finances. Marriages are torn apart because of the areas of finance, and families and homes are torn apart because of the area of finances. And so we have to deal with this issue. We have to make sure that it's okay to bring in folks that really need to be in a position to talk about this issue, to deal with this issue, and give people opportunity and options. Because again, I'll leave it at what we talked about before. People will perish. They have perished, and they will continue to perish when they have lack of knowledge. But why perish when we have individuals that's among us that is here to serve and here that have an opportunity that's been given grace and favor by God to be able to minister to people in the area of finance? Why not take advantage of it? And so I would pray that when this is all said and done, that we would have helped people live longer lives, more live a life that's not so stressed, because you had an opportunity to be in a better position financially, to live a life, to do what you want to do in this life, and to be successful at it and to feel good about it. And I think if I could walk away and knowing that I've helped maybe 1 million people, I'll be all right. I'd be happy.
All right. All right. And certainly we want you to make that 1 million people happy. God bless Bishop Colbert Hagler. Takora Parker, is that
that's Takara? That's my wife.
That's your wife.
My beautiful wife.
All right, she's watching. So yeah, she's watching her minister of finance.
Yes, she is. She already told me to pull my jacket down and straighten my suit up. So I'm calling her out. So she texts me a few times. So I heard you, and I hope I fixed my jacket.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we just thank you because the wealth of knowledge that you share with us is very valuable, and we're going to see what we can do about getting that forum together.
Absolutely.
Listen, those of you that's watching, you want to know how to empower yourself so that you can have more financial stability. When you have more financial stability, you can live the life that you want to live. You can do the things that you want to do. You can go to the places that you want to go, and you can support your favorite internet radio show Connection by sending in a donation or sponsoring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We just thank God. And again, shout out to our sponsors, Nature Sunshine and the Bedrock Movement, as well as Now We Know Cherished Products. Feel free to stop by the Victory Temple Church of God in Christ every Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. We're located at 2000 West Roosevelt Road inside of the Community Presbyterian Church building. We just hope to see you there one day, 8 a.m. Amen. And so, again, thank you, Brother Parker.
Thank you, sir.
Stay tuned for Humanities in the Headlines right here on IntellectualRadio.com.
The weight of your glory, it won't allow